Hey guys, what's up? Spartacus here, back for the final Arena Top 10 card list. The top 10 legendaries in Arena. Now this is a really tough list to make. There are so many good legendaries in Arena, and suffice it to say, if you get any of these, you're going to be really, really happy. And there are even more past this list that if you get, you're going to be really, really happy. Because in Arena, legendaries on their own can just win you games. Like, all these on this list will probably win you like one game in your run, for the most part. Sometimes it doesn't quite work out, but hopefully for you it does. And these are the top 10 best that you can hope to get in Arena, according to me. So let's dive right in with number 10. Number 10 is Neptulon. Neptulon was introduced in GVG, 7 mana, 7/7, so you know, War Golem stats. But add 4 random Murlocs to your hand, overloads 3. So this is basically the solution for no card draw. If you are just running out of gas, like your opponent has more cards than you, and you know you're fighting for the board, you're working hard for the board, and then you drop Neptulon, all of a sudden you have 4 more cards in your hand. It's basically like draw 4 cards, and it actually is like draw 4 cards in Arena. Not in Constructed. In Constructed, the cards are a little less valuable than other cards in Constructed, but in Arena, because cards are less good in general, the Murlocs are actually pretty good. And not only are they actually pretty good, but because they synergize, they're even better. Synergy is just really hard to come across in Arena a lot of the time. So when you do get it, sometimes you get an even bigger advantage. So Neptulon, by himself, really helps you out. Now, you do overload for 3, so if you happen to play this on turn 7, then, you know, the next turn you can only play 5 mana, which is, you know, a little rough. Especially if they are able to remove this with hard removal, which is why it's not a little bit higher on the list, but still, unbelievable card, really fantastic in Arena, really helps out with that card advantage, and like all the cards on this list, will win you some games. Okay, number 9. Number 9 is a 9 mana cost minion, Onyxia. Onyxia is a 8/8 dragon that summons 1/1 whelps to your side of the field until your side of the field is full. A card that we don't see used very often in Constructed, just because it costs too much and it doesn't quite do enough when it hits the board in Constructed. But in Arena, those 1/1s are really, really annoying. They can trade for a lot of different things. Not only that, but they can be buffed in certain ways. You can have Cult Masters out. There's a lot of different things that can be done with them. Or if there's nothing that can be done with them, you have an 8/8 body and a bunch of 1/1s. And the stats add up to, let's just say you drop this on an empty board. The stats add up to a 14/14 for 9 mana. So pretty good deal there. Spread out in a very interesting way so you can kind of do what you want with it. The 8/8 is, of course, a pain to remove. So, I mean, in one turn, I don't think you can really remove everything. There are very few cards in the game that'll just clear everything that you just threw down with Onyxia on the board. Light Bomb is one of them, Twisting Nether, but, you know, even Flame Strike can't do it. Like, they need a Flame Strike and a Flame Cannon to get rid of that. So, 2 pretty specific, pretty powerful cards for mages to get rid of that kind of thing. So, just a huge board presence, and if you're not about to die, and you throw this thing down, you can you know, start trading with it. You're going to get a lot of good trades, and you're probably going to be able to take back the board. Okay, moving on to number 8. Number 8 is everyone's favorite, Lord Jaraxxus. We all know Lord Jaraxxus becomes your hero. That great Ashbringer, sorry, wrong weapon. That great, you know, Fist of Jaraxxus weapon, and summon the 6/6. As your hero power for 2 mana. Insanely powerful. And honestly, this card would probably be number 1 if not for the 15 health. Sometimes you just can't afford to go down that low. If you're behind on board, especially, like, Jaraxxus is a little bit slow, so if you're behind on board, they have a lot of things. Playing Jaraxxus isn't really going to help you that much, especially you might actually lower your health. If you are able to bring it back up, then, you know, you might save yourself a turn, but in the end, it might not work out because, you know, in Handlock, there's like taunt givers for the 6/6s that come out and stuff like that, and Shadow Flames, and you can't guarantee getting that in Arena. So Jaraxxus basically just gives you a bunch of 6/6. That being said, Really powerful. That weapon is great for removing things. The longer that this guy stays out, the more value you're going to get. And 6/6 are really tough to deal with in Arena, so they'll just build up the board and overwhelm your opponent. Very powerful card, and lands at number 8. Okay, number 7. Number 7 is a card that, since GVG came out, has just disappeared from Constructed. It's Karn Bloodhoof, and I miss Karn, because Karn, Korn, however you want to pronounce it, I miss him. Pretty well put him in every control deck used to run, but there's just no room for him anymore. The reason why, obviously, though, is because, you know, things like Dr. Boom came around, but he's still really powerful, and that's the point. The 8/10 for 6, really good stats, split out in 2 4/5 bodies, which are really annoying to deal with in Arena. So getting that out on turn 6, just a very sticky minion. It'll always trade multiple cards for one of it unless it gets hard removed with a transformation card or something like that. So really powerful, really sticky minion. Can help you fight back on board if you're behind a little bit, or can just solidify your position if you're ahead. Just a value card, basically. Speaking of a value card, number 6, Sneed's Old Shredder. 8 mana, 5/7, that summons that random legendary minion. Sometimes the legendary minion is kind of crappy, but usually you can at least count on like a 5/5 in stats, or at least 4/5, or something like that, which is still pretty good. So having those kind of stats come out of there, you know, decent enough, pretty good for Arena, you know, like a 4/5 in stats, which is probably on the low end, is what, a 9/12 for 8 mana? That's not terrible, but the upside is huge. You could get a Ragnaros out of it, for example, or a Kel'Thuzad. A lot of very good legendaries can come out of Sneed's Old Shredder. Just so much value in the card. A little bit slow, so if you are losing, you know, it is a little bit late in the game, so it's turn 8, this cost your whole turn, it's not going to work out for you. But if, you know, usually Arena's a bit slower than Constructed, so if you don't get run over and you can play this card and use it effectively, you have a very good chance to win. Again, another card along the same theme, but I think trumps the 2 before it, is Ysera. The 9 mana 4/12 with the Dream cards. Dream cards are just so powerful in Constructed. Just imagine how good they are in Arena. They are incredibly good. So even getting one of them is really good, and dealing with the 4/12 for your opponent is really difficult to do. Now, if they can use hard removal, this does cost 9 mana, so, you know, you lose a lot of tempo, which is why it's not quite number 1. But if this does stick, you win the game, as long as you don't get run over. But if their deck isn't too fast and you can get this down in a reasonable position, you're probably can have it stay there for more than one turn, you're going to win the game. It's just way too powerful. All those Dream cards give you so much card advantage. This is such a big board presence that 4 attack is usually good enough to deal with so many things in Arena. Very, very good Arena legendary. Okay, number 4. Number 4 is Sylvanas Windrunner. Sylvanas is in pretty well like every Constructed deck, and she's in there for a reason. Sylvanas is just so good when you're behind. So if they have like a couple minions out on the board and you have nothing and you're able to play Sylvanas, the worst case for you is, I guess she gets hard removed, which is annoying. But let's just say they don't have Polymorph or Hex. If they can't silence her, that's like the worst case, is they silence her. The other worst case is they have to trade their board into her so that their stuff don't get stolen. So she basically trades like 2 or 3 for 1. Best case is you get to take something big. Now, obviously, playing her out on the board when you're ahead is a little annoying when there's nothing else on board, but in Arena, sometimes you can feel a little kind of comfortable doing it. You don't want to throw her away to a Fireball or a Starfire or anything like that, but it's not the worst thing in the world to play her out on the board, because sometimes, actually, the majority of the time in Arena, they don't have just like removal to answer it. They're going to need to play minions to answer Sylvanas, and obviously the more minions they play, the better chance you have of stealing them, and just such a great board presence. Very good when you're tied, very good when you're behind, and, you know, not bad when you're ahead. So, very powerful card in Arena. Okay, top 3 legendaries. Number 3 is the king himself, the Doctor, Dr. Boom, not Dr. Dre. Dr. Boom is just too good. Dr. Boom is in every constructed deck, except for Face Hunter. He's in everything. He's in aggressive decks because there's just so much value packed into that card. 7 mana, 9/9 stats, but 7 mana, 9/9 that splits out its body, so it can't be removed card for card. And not only that, but the boom bots do an average of 4 damage, I guess. So 9/9, 4 damage, right? Is that correct? I believe so. Yeah. So that is pretty good. Better yet, the boom bots spread out damage, so they just decimate opponents' boards. And the reason why he's so popular and constructed is because it's a 7-drop, and there aren't a lot of like good 7-drops as well. That's not the only reason, it's just really powerful, but that's part of the reason. So that's why, while he's in every constructed deck, he's not quite number 1 on this list, because in Arena, that's less of an issue that, you know, filling the 7 slot and then filling the 8 slot. That's less of a problem. It's not about that as much. So while still a very powerful card, very intimidating board presence in Arena, very difficult to deal with, there's still a couple cards that are better, but for the most part, you're going to end up picking Dr. Broom, unless you get 2 of the ones above, at least in my opinion. Number 2 is Ragnaros. Ragnaros is just so powerful in general. So the reason why in constructed right now Ragnaros isn't run as much, you don't see him as much, is because Big Game Hunter is everywhere. And Big Game Hunter is everywhere because Dr. Broom's in every deck. So everyone has to run a Big Game Hunter now. So that means that Ragnaros can just get traded card for card, even better. You know, you can get all the tempo sapped out of you from Big Game Hunter. But if that wasn't the case, Ragnaros would be in like every deck. 8 mana, 8/8, fair stats. But then immediately deals 8 damage is huge. So obviously you can't target where it's going to hit, but if it hits a minion, it's a common theme in a lot of like tournaments and what you've seen in constructed. If this hits a minion, you sometimes just win the game, and it's no different in Arena. You play this and it hits like one of their big minions, you just win. Now in Arena, it's even better because Big Game Hunter is less present. Hard removal, getting rid of this, is not as prevalent either. So if they silence it, it's still an 8/8. It's just so difficult to deal with. If you leave this on the board for another turn, it'll just keep hitting you with 8 damage while not taking any damage itself. This card is just insanely powerful in Arena. And when I said the Arena, some of the legendaries on here will win you like some games, this will win you a lot. If you have Ragnaros in your deck, trust me, Ragnaros is going to win you many games in that Arena run. Just such a board presence. Not bad when you're behind. Great when you're ahead. Good in all situations, I suppose, unless you're at 1 health. But is there really a card that helps you at 1 health unless it's Tree of Life? So, well, actually, there are a few, and one of them is number 1. So, without further ado, number 1, Tirion Fordring. Tirion Fordring is, in my opinion, the best legendary in the game. Tirion is both fast and slow, just the pacing, because it's a taunt, so you have to hit him. So that makes it a fairly fast card when you play it on the board. But it's also big, and it's got a ton of stats. And I mean, a 6/6 with Divine Shield is already threatening enough. I mean, think about Sunwalker. It's a 5/4, it's a 4/5 with Divine Shield, and it costs 6. Pop up, you know, 2 more mana, and tack on a bunch more stats, and then you get an Ashbringer, a 5/3 weapon in Arena. A 5/3 weapon in Arena is insane. It's insane in constructed, and it's insane in Arena, because not everyone runs Harrison Jones in Arena. You don't see that all that often. And while you do see oozes, because people like to pick those because they are valuable, the likelihood of Ashbringer getting ooze isn't actually that high. So you get this huge body that's really good at stopping aggression. The body alone can trade like 2 or 3 for 1, and then you get a weapon on top of it, which trades like another however much you want for 1, or instead you could just decide to kill them with the weapon. When this comes down in Arena, and you don't have a transformation card, you are sad. Even if you have Silence, and if you have Silence, you're still pretty happy about it. Like, silencing this is a big deal, but it's still a 6/6, so you're not completely devastated if you're the Tirion owner. The only real answer is transformation stuff, because Tirion is an absolute beast. And the best legendary in Arena. So, this is my list of the top 10 legendaries in Arena. Tell me what you think. This is the end of the top 10 lists for Arena. Hopefully in the future sometime I will be coming back with the top 10 worst cards for each of the areas in Arena. And that'll be pretty interesting too. But let me know what you think. There are a lot of very good legendaries that I had to leave off of this list and I really wanted to put on, but there isn't room for all of them. So tell me if you think I missed anything really important. And thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.